going to bring the conversation back to the sports side of things as we look at how remote sports production has adapted to a new world and new way of working. I'm delighted to be joined by Nicholas Bourdon, CMO at EVS, Brian Leonard, Head of Engineering, Production and Workflows at IMG, and Ian McDonough, CEO of Blackbird. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to BAM Live. So let's dive straight in. The pandemic has driven an increase in remote production adoption. How have you found that transition over the past 12 months? Ian, can we start with you, please, and Blackbird's perspective?
Sure, Ben. Thanks very much. I mean, I think what's happened over the last 12 months is, and your last panel touched on it really, it's not just production that's gone remote. The entire world has gone remote over the last 12 months. And that's, everything from shopping to socializing and indeed to work. And there's been some significant winners in that process, and there's obviously been some significant casualties too. And I think what's really important is to look at what the qualities that the winners have had, and it's where technology has been able to enable, to save time, to save money, in certain cases to latterly to provide much of a work-life balance. And indeed, what drives most technology, of course, is convenience, and that's something that I think is what's going to happen after the pandemic is that there's going to be a requirement of lots of different companies and lots of different workflows around the world to have those attributes. Our technology, Blackbird, is built around the qualities of freedom, i.e., the work-life balance, and resilience, which is another really important point, is that a lot of the projects we were talking about prior to the pandemic were about moving infrastructure elsewhere. Now it's really about business continuity and making sure that there's actually a workflow in place in case this happens again.
Thanks, Ian. And so, Brian, coming to you, how have you found that transition over the past 12 months at IMG?
Yeah, very similar to what's been said. I think the biggest thing from my perspective is the acceptance of from production's point of view, of what they are willing to put out as quality broadcast. Who would have thought, 12 months ago, Zoom would be expected. vMix came out of the blue and is doing a very good job. So it's just giving production more options to necessarily do as much as they can with what they've got. And it's just a new world of different tiers are available now, and it's not frowned upon as it was pre-pandemic.
Okay, and Nicholas, talk to us about how EVS have found this change over the last 12 months.
I think, like it was said earlier, so I think, what we've seen here was the pandemic, I would say, has just accelerated a process that was already in place. But of course, the acceleration was pretty fast. And I would say that at EVS, the priority for us was to really do what was possible to help our customers to go through this transition. Of course, working and operating the live sports operation in respect, of course, of the social distance and non-travel environment. So our teams have had to adapt very rapidly, but also most essentially to accompany our customers and different operation teams in that domain. So we very quickly put in place, it was in April 2020, a program called Live Production Anywhere, which was actually making all our customers working on live replays operations, making them benefit from the local public IP network to connect their replay controllers to connect it to a servers located in a truck or in a hub. So that, of course, this brought up a lot of challenges in terms of how could we keep this low latency while offering the ability to control multi-viewer, the different UI environments, and offering the same flexibility that you have on premise actually. And we also accelerated the introduction of new solutions like the LSM VR, which was introduced in May 2020. So it was just in a row, which was completely optimized for these new ecosystems of distributed workflows and benefiting from effectively this environment of total remote production.
Gosh, April 2020, that seems like a very long time ago. So we've looked at the challenges around it, but now I want to touch on the benefits. So I want to ask how your companies are benefiting from cloud technology. So Brian, let's start with you and IMG, please.
I think it's just given us more flexibility. Where I suppose when we talk about cloud, there's two types of cloud for me. There's the public cloud, and then basically the private clouds as well. So from my perspective, we're still heavily private based because of the position we're in. Where it's nice to be in a nice position like that. But if we want to spin up else at short notice, we can necessarily do that relatively easily. If we want to spin it down, and it's just again to the amount of options, and the cloud benefits have been there for the rest of the world, and it's just about time that the media industry started really expanding on it.
Mm-hmm. And so, Nicholas, how about from EVS's perspective? What have been the benefits that you found from cloud technology?
I would say immediately, I would say in low compression environment, we see a part of the workflows shifting to data centers and cloud, and which offer broader flexibility and almost unlimited scaling capacity based on these very powerful machines. But this is today already useful when it comes to non-latency critical part of the workflows, I would say. And that's actually what we did with the introduction of a solution called Extra Motion, which is an AI-based supermotion solution, offering interpolated frame based on normal camera feeds, and this which actually creates additional supermotion replays. And this is a solution which is fully deployed on the cloud and available as a service, which means that there's no need for extra OB vans or data centers, or with 1 gig connection, so you can enhance the production with nice images of super slow motion or from any camera. So if you look at the file-based environment, of course, there for years EVS was already working on in any types of control and monitoring environments or back end of the software environment, which was effectively cloud-based. But the point for us was to obviously add a layer of monitoring, control, and facilitations to monitor and to organize all these workflows together.
Okay, thanks, Nicholas. And so, Ian, turning to you and Blackbird, I know you were on a session yesterday that was around sustainability. So, but can you talk us through the benefits that you're seeing with cloud technology?
Yeah, I think for us, it's having our customers that were probably a little bit reticent to begin with try and test how it is to work in the cloud. And I think that, I would say their fears have been very much allayed. Their concerns around speed, their concerns around latency, their concerns around security have all been, laid to rest. And this has been a leap forward for cloud tech, and all the advantages that we've been talking about for years have actually been shown to be true. So it's about speed, it's about the convenience, it's about the time and the flexibility, as both Nicola and Brian have said. That they can scale up, scale down, switch on, switch off. Reduce unnecessary expenditure in capex. Move to subscription models. It is classic cloud. So it's given people the opportunity to actually test that in anger, as they say, and see that it actually really works. It really is resilient. So yeah, I think
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ian, let's stick with you here. So all of these developments and the benefits and challenges we've spoken about, they must have had an impact on your workflows and the way that you work. So can you tell us a bit about some of these ways that these have changed?
I mean, yeah, we've all been working from home. It's the first thing. So, for us, having using other people's technology around Zoom and around Slack has been absolutely integral. I have to say, in terms of how we actually work and deploying our solutions, it's been much more about public cloud. So we've utilized AWS, we've utilized Azure, we've utilized Tata Communications, who we partnered with recently, to enable a lot of our solutions to take place quickly, efficiently. And we can spin up in just a few hours. So it's really been beneficial to drive that for us. Where we were probably just before the pandemic, we were more hardware based. We were sending out machines and a lot more. Now that doesn't happen at all. Now we're literally just all public cloud, and that allows scalability and it allows security tick boxes to be made that weren't before, and that's beneficial.
Mm-hmm. And so, Nicholas, how are you finding this? The change in the workflows from EVS's perspective.
Yeah, if we look at the EVS perspective in live sports production, namely, I think the big changes is the workflows are definitely more distributed than ever. So, which of course brings a part of a challenge in terms of complexity, configuration, support, potential failures that we might have, and then it forces us to bring tools that enables to lighten this complexity and bring more effectively easier tools to configure and manage all the aspects of resources and management in all different stages. So this is where effectively we come with new solutions such as LSM VR, which is effectively this new LSM live slow motion environments, which effectively is predefined for this kind of distributed environment, but also come up with new PAM solution with all the back end of the software is actually be made available also in the cloud and easily deployable. But on top of that, so with the recent acquisition that we made of Axon, so having tools such as Cerebrum and workflow control and orchestration system enables effectively to facilitate the management and the control, but also the monitoring of all your resources wherever they are, of course, even deployed in the cloud, which effectively is a key element for most of our customers if to guarantee the security that they might have, the visibility they have over their workflow. And that's actually for us a key change that we see.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so Brian, talk to me about the way that your workflows and everything has changed from IMG's side.
It's going to be interesting because there's an element to the changes are still coming, because once we get out of this pandemic, we're probably going to necessarily work completely differently to how we did before. So I'm going to be very interested to see, I know we've been talking internally about whether now offices that we had, when we're going to use them for something else, because, with the introduction of Teams and stuff like that, maybe we should be encouraging more Teams style meetings rather than everybody getting around a table in a room. So people don't feel unincluded when they're not there. So you've got that's coming as a change. And again, as I said before, and again, agreeing with the guys, it's just giving you more options. We can do so many more. One of the things we do now that I've seen and I quite like, and I've seen other people do it as well, the skies of this world, is when you're producing a football match, having 4 talent talking about a particular match who have not really got an interest in the game. I can turn up and watch it as a fan and think to myself, I didn't really care about the game. But listening to 4 ex-pros talking about stories of, when they were in the dressing room and so on, and talking about players and styles and tactics, I don't know if we would have done that if it wasn't a pandemic. And so it's just opened up the world of possibilities now.
Mm-hmm. And so, Nicholas, I want to come back to you if that's okay. So you recently announced an exciting collaboration between Blackbird and EVS. And can you tell us more about this, and specifically why EVS decided to partner with Blackbird?
I think, first of all, we are extremely happy to have integrated and to have certified Blackbird into the global ecosystem of EVS. EVS is for several years expanding its global ecosystems in terms of live and near live content management and distribution. When it comes to this integration and the recent announcements, actually Blackbird comes and is integrated on top of a new content distribution platform that is operated and deployed during major sporting events that I don't have to name, and that actually is used by host broadcasters and different rights holders to review any content, any kind of sequences that might happen during events and that might have not been seen or distributed live. And very instantly, in a very flexible way, edit it into stories and highlights. And effectively, we needed solutions on top of that could bring that. And effectively, we are very proud to have Blackbird coming in, being integrated to this solution.
Excellent. And Ian, anything to add to that?
No, that was a great answer, Nicholas. Thank you very much. That was perfect. No, we're delighted to be partners with EVS. I mean, if we could have chosen any partner at all to be in every, pretty much every live sport event of any, prestige in the world, then EVS is absolutely, the perfect partner. And we're delighted to be able to add to their excellent product.
Excellent. It's always great to hear 2 IABM members working so well together. So that's really good. So finally, let's look ahead. Can each of you tell me very briefly, what are the major tech trends in the sports content industry to look out for? So Brian, let's start with you on this last question.
The sort of remote desktop, the Teradici's models of these, those type of softwares, I think has been a real game changer. You know, people have been able to extend their working environment back to their base. What will be interesting is when we come out of this pandemic, whether people are still willing to take that risk in having their edit suite or the whatever in someone's personal house when you're then reliant on their own personal internet. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But the remote desktop extension is probably where I would say has got the most potential.
Excellent. Thanks, Brian. And so, Nicholas, what are your thoughts about what we'll see in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question, but yeah, these days, you know, when you see everyone's speaking about the NFT business around NBA, which shows another way of monetizing sports that content for sports leagues and federations. So, of course, future will tell if these models are sustainable. But one thing we can say is that it globally underlines and strengthens the value of sports images and more essentially of sports highlights in particular. And yeah, if I look at just the example I made about new solutions like the extra motion that we have been developing and introduced, and very recently used by Fox Sports US to display really incredible moments from the onboard camera, replays that wouldn't have been able to be managed previously. This is effectively what the technology is bringing. So all that to say that we feel that the flexibility that we see now through all these connected workflows throughout the cloud will enable to reinforce these unique moments in terms of sports and create more values. Also, another element that will be accelerating that is actually the integration of the data and the graphics that enables being combined to this content and the distribution to go more and more towards more ability to deliver unique moments to the viewers, and that's actually where we see these potentials and these evolutions.
Excellent, thanks, Nicholas. And then finally, Ian, very quickly, what are your thoughts on what we'll see in the future?
We see the appetite for sports content always increasing and always becoming more personalized, whether that be highlights or long form. So the more edit systems you can put in hands of more people, then the more content you can create at high quality, and that's where we see an ending trend.